White Rocket Entertainment podcast number 984. Big Cat Weekend. The Big Cat is in the house. Big Cat Weekend is come and gone. We have 2 commitments just since then. We also have a new basketball player, and he looks vicious. The AU Wishbone is next. Cue the theme song. From Southern Illinois, where it's raining. Lots of rain. It's fun. I get to be Reynolds Wolf for 5 seconds every episode here. Lots of rain going on here, John. And Eastern Virginia, which we'll find out the forecast momentarily. It's the AU Wishbone Podcast. How are you tonight?
I'm well, Van. How are you?
Wet if you don't stay inside. I limited my travels today because it was just coming down all day. And it's going to do it all week. What the heck?
We're supposed to get some of that later in the week, but it's not raining yet. It was 95 here today.
Oof. No, it never got that high here because it just keeps everything raining and wind blowing. It's no fun, but I'll definitely take a break from the heat. So we got a lot to talk about. We're going to get into every bit of it. There's action. There's baseball stuff going on. There's basketball recruiting. Very, very good news there. There's good news, really shocking stuff in the last 24 hours in football. There was even a big crash at practice for the Indy 500 today that I'll mention briefly, which was really depressing because it's my favorite driver. But meanwhile, I have to say, my name is Van Allen Plexico. I'm your host. This is the AU Wishbone Podcast. I'm joined as always by my co-host.
I'm John Ringer.
And John, I already know how you are, so I'm just going to hit this button right here. It's the Auburn Fun Meter, our weekly look at how much fun it is to be an Auburn fan right this very minute. And I got to tell you, before you pick a number between 0 and 10, let's just bear in mind that, some pretty good things have happened the last few days.
It's true.
I mean, not like winning the national championship at something, but
no,
close.
But some good football recruiting stuff, basketball transfer, women's tennis, big move, baseball lost a series, but some track and field stuff. I'm going to say an 8.
Yeah, it's in that territory. I agree. I think so. So we've got football to talk about. Don't you worry. But before we get there, we got a couple of other sport things to kind of run through. And I want to zip through them here because we want to cover as much stuff as we can on this show about Auburn. Let's hit baseball. The baseball team is about to go into the SEC tournament. So they kind of get the first billing. They've played really well all year. They kind of peaked at the right time. But then they went to Georgia, right? Was it in Athens or was it in Auburn?
Yes, it was in Athens, I think.
Okay.
And they won the series.
Georgia won the series, but my understanding was Auburn obliterated them in the final game, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's good. We ended it on the right note. So now they go into the SEC tournament. They still play it in Birmingham?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still play it there. Auburn plays Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Again, that's if everything is on schedule against the winner of LSU and Oklahoma.
But they're not top teams.
No, those are like 11 and 14 seeds.
Man, what happened to LSU? They used to be a proud baseball power.
They won the national title like two or 3 years ago. So.
I know. Why are they like 14 or whatever? They all graduated, went to the pros or something, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so good luck to the baseball team. We'll be following them this week and hope that they can get it back to where it was like in the last 2 or 3 weeks. Women's tennis. They played Texas A&M. Texas A&M for the national championship. They had beaten Ohio State 4-1. Auburn was, I think, the second seed. Ohio State was the 3rd seed. Auburn won 4-1 in the semifinals to make their first national championship game appearance. Auburn won the SEC regular season title and the SEC championship for the first time in program history. So let's pause for a second. Salute the women that did that. That's awesome. A&M beat number 2 Georgia. I thought we were number 2. 4-3 in the other semifinal. So it must be number 1 then, because Georgia must have been number 1 seed. Mm-hmm. And then Texas A&M played Auburn, and A&M won 4-1, their second national championship in that sport. So good on A&M, but I'm glad we won the SEC. We're glad we won the SEC, the tournament. We had beaten A&M by the same score in the semifinals of the SEC tournament. So sports are weird that way. You do one thing one way and one day and one the next. So
the little 2017 Auburn football happening there.
Yeah, with A&M. I don't like losing to A&M. I don't like it. I'm starting to get a sense of the A&M fan base. And see, this is the thing. Every SEC program has an element of its fan base that are good, nice people. Even Alabama. We know good, nice, perfectly fine Alabama fans. We do. My mother was a good, nice, fine. My grandparents were good, nice Alabama fans. But they've also got the bad end, every fan base. And that's unfortunately the one that kind of comes to the surface. In the last decade, I've really kind of seen the underbelly of A&M fandom, and I haven't appreciated it. Same with Oklahoma, right? We know our old SEC brethren well, right? We grew up from the cradle knowing those other, we know Alabama fans and Georgia fans and Tennessee and Florida and LSU. We know what they're like. They can't hide from us, and they know us. But I'm starting to know A&M a little bit, and I'm starting to know Oklahoma a little bit. Hadn't had a chance with Texas yet. And, of course, Missouri doesn't have fans, so we don't have to worry about it.
Nice. Ouch.
There you go. All right. Track and field. Tell us what happened in track and field.
Well, there were some other things too, but Jacoby Thorpe won the SEC title in the 100 meters, so that was exciting.
Right. Yes. All right. Now, some have pointed out Auburn is like 1-16 in every major sport against Alabama and Georgia. I guess that's like after the Georgia losing 2 out of 3 to Georgia this past weekend.
Yep.
So, what the heck? What is going on there? I mean, we seem to be doing pretty well in most sports every other way except against Alabama and Georgia. What the heck?
It's dark days, man. It's dark days because we hate those schools. You were just talking about how much there are some fans we respect, but we got to beat those 2 schools. And I think we're just going to have to get off the schneid in football, and that'll lead the way for everybody else. So.
That'll lead the way. Absolutely. So just kind of a weird fluky thing going on right now that we're like 1-16 against Alabama, Georgia. At least football only contributed 1 each, just 1 each. Right. I mean, so, and I just keep thinking too, and I know, ifs and ands and all that, but just think if the Iron Bowl had gone just ever so slightly different by like 1 play the last 3 times in Auburn, we would be 3-2 on them over the last 5 years, with the worst 5-year stretch in Auburn history and ever since the 70s. Probably we would be 3-2 against Alabama, but for like 1 play in each game. It just eats me up. It eats me alive.
I get it.
Ah, gosh. If Tank Bigsby goes down on 1 knee, if they don't give up a 4th and 30 whatever, and if Cam doesn't fumble, That
Mhm.
one, we need a couple more things to happen, but we were certainly, things were trending our way there. Oh, good gosh. Well, let's get to hoops because football's coming here. Much like winter in Westeros, football is coming. But one other thing, and that's basketball to talk about before we get to football. We got a new signee. You say it. I'm afraid to say it.
Okay. Our new basketball signee is Montas Rudstavish. Montas Rubstavish or Stavish.
Us. You're leaving off the us at the end.
Rubstavicius. Stavicius.
There you go.
Stavicius. He's a
So-
6'7", 200-pound forward from Lithuania who's 24 years old. He has played professionally in the Euro League and in a Lithuanian league.
Yeah, I go say that has to be Lithuania. It's funny. Eastern Europe, there's a certain thing on names that you can always tell what country they're from. If it's Vicious, it's Lithuania. If it's Escu, it's Romanian. And if it's Alien or like Kalian or whatever, it's blanked out. The Kardashians.
Croatia, Czech Republic,
No.
I'm not sure.
No, I can't remember. It'll come.
Hungary.
No, they're not any of those things.
Polish.
No.
Okay, keep going.
Armenian. That's it. The Armenians. Remember Jerry Tarkanian, the basketball coach?
I'm well aware where Armenia is. Thank you.
Oh yeah. So anyway, yeah, it clearly sports have changed from when we were kids because now not only can professional basketball players play in the Olympics, they can play college basketball. Who knew? And what's funny is it's one thing that they can come over from some European league and play college basketball in the United States. Alabama proved last year they can come from like the NBA developmental league and play college basketball. So
They're out there whining about this guy still on the internet. Auburn signing him. I
who
would
is?
say the Alabama fans because he's a professional.
The same team that just had an NBA guy playing?
Well, that's their point. What's the difference?
Oh my gosh.
I would say the difference is there's an accepted set of rules and admission standards about eligibility, and this guy qualifies and their guy did not.
And yet, well, you can't talk sense to them. That's just a non-starter.
All right, so back to Montas. He is a senior. He has 1 year of eligibility left. He's a big-time scorer and a very, very good outside shooter. Shot 46% from three this past season. So, and if you've seen the highlights, like he can create his own shot too.
Oh my God! I'm looking for a different one, but I'll take that. I wanted the I don't know if I have it on here anymore, but I wanted the Beethoven. I wanted the Beethoven's ninth there for he shoots. We just here say that number again, John. How well does he shoot from 3-pointers?
46% last year.
This is not. And I am the King of England. And I am the King of England.
So he's going to be our starting small forward next year. Like a starting lineup of, with this guy and Kevin Overton out there,
Ooh.
Tahad.
And the South Alabama guy.
Well, no, we may not start. He's going to come off the bench now. See, this guy's going to start at small forward. That guy's going to come off the bench. We're going to probably play Dowd from Troy, the big forward. And then, Buki at center. He can run. Narcisse will be the backup center, I think. I think Buki's going to start, and he can run and block shots, play defense behind these guys, catch some alley-oops when everybody's out. Again, Overton on one side and this guy on the other. Defense is going to have to pull out, open up the lane a little bit for Tahad to drive and dish and that kind of thing. So I think it's exciting. I think he's definitely gonna, be an impact player for us next year. And I'm excited. Now we have different proposed nicknames for this player.
Yes, we
So
do.
you go first.
Well, let's see. So Mantas Rubstavicius. I'm just going to call him Sid Vicious.
I like it. I like the praying mantis for
The
Montas.
praying Mantas. I love it. And I hope he preys upon all of our opponents this fall and into the winter.
Amen.
Basketball really is becoming coaches that can bring in a bunch of new players all at once, and B, get them to gel as a team, because they're all going to be gone again. It's becoming a one year. I had an interesting I want to get your view on this. I had an interesting conversation with our department chair during graduation. All right. Because she is a graduate of Kansas and she's a huge Kansas basketball fan. So we always have a fun. And I pointed out to her, she was shocked. I said, that Kansas and Auburn are tied for the fifth most wins or whatever, or the 10th most wins or whatever it was in college basketball over the last 5 years. And she's like, "Oh," I'm like, I said, "For you, that's a downer. For me, it's rarefied air. I'm breathing high oxygen here. We're coming at it from two different directions, meeting in the middle, right?" But she was saying how Kansas is not doing as well because she says their coach, I guess it's Bill Self still.
Yes.
He said he's good at like bringing up young players and teaching them over a period of years. And in this current environment, you can't really do that. And I said, what's interesting is I think Kentucky may have fired their coach a year too early, because as much as Kentucky's, the current Arkansas coach, what's his name? As bad as Cal, as bad as Cal can be at, building a team over the long haul and all that, he's not, he's good at bringing in one and done guys and throwing together a quick lineup. And I think that's kind of where the game has gone. And Arkansas is doing better than Kentucky the last couple of years, so certainly relative to each other and where they have been. Sure. So yeah, Kentucky may have pulled the trigger on that a year early, and they might have wanted to keep him if they'd known where the sport was going. I don't know. They might have just been tired of him. I think they're kind of tired of him. But
I think they reached his expiration date. But yeah, no, what you're saying makes sense about the roster construction piece.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I'm like, we know that Bruce was pretty good at it, and I'm really hoping, and it's so far so good for Stephen. And I mean, I'm glad we're giving him help, right? Not that he needs help per se, but it seems like, they're giving him administrative people to go around him and help him do all of that, and that's the more the better as far as
right before the signing portal opened, they signed this GM from Louisville, and I think he's made a difference in these players.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, I mean, because look at these guys we're bringing in. I mean, this team is tall. It can shoot. If we'd had one, there's at least 3 or 4 guys on this roster now that if we'd had them last year, we'd have definitely been in the NCAA tournament.
Yes.
So, All right. I did see an interesting interview with Stephen Pearl. I just wanted to quote him about one thing here. They asked him about scheduling for the coming season and beyond. And here's what Stephen said, which I thought was some interesting stuff. He says, obviously you want a first schedule so you can help your NCAA tournament resume, but you also want to get yourselves ready for SEC play. But there's a new third component now with NIL. He says, we're going to make money in Vegas. We're going to make money in Huntsville. And apparently we're going to play in Middle Tennessee State in Huntsville. We're going to make money in Nashville. We're going to make money when we go to Birmingham to play an exhibition game. So playing these games that they play around the Southeast and everything brings them in extra revenue. He says, quote, the reason why we're scheduling these games is because we have to find a way to supplement money for our NIL. That's just part of it. That's part of trying to be able to build a budget you can compete with. That's on us to throw in instead of just continue to ask for individual donations. So in other words, when Charles Barkley says, stop asking me for money without winning, this is part of it, is we got to go out and get money in other ways so we can win. And then Charles will start opening up that checkbook again. He says, you got to go play these neutral site games, kind of like football's doing in Atlanta, but on a much smaller scale. Try to get a couple $100,000 a year outside of the Vegas tournament. So there are things you're looking in. There's three things you're looking into: the strength of schedule to help your metrics into the year. It's getting ready for conference play, and it's building up your NIL budget. Your thoughts on that? I thought that was interesting. Very clear, laid out description.
No, and it makes sense. I mean, I like us playing games outside of Auburn, and especially in the preseason, because it's a way for other fans to get to see the team when it's tough to get a ticket in Neville Arena. And it's making money for the NIL to support the players and the roster. So that makes sense to me.
Yeah, there's always ways to see our Auburn basketball team rather than paying a fortune to go to Auburn. And I hate it. I'd rather see them in Auburn. But
like there's a game in Nashville next year. Would you have any interest in that?
I might. Yeah, depending on who we play and how much it costs.
Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah. Okay. It's 4 hours down and 4 hours back to Nashville. That's not so bad. I might do that. I enjoy going over to Columbia. We always lose, which drives me crazy. I'm tired of losing to inferior Missouri teams, but that's only 2 hours away, and I like going over to Columbia. But yeah, Nashville would be good. So, all right. So all that out of the way now, it's time to turn our attention to football and Big Cat Weekend. I brought the Big Cat down because he's
back from Big Cat Weekend.
He is back from Big Cat. He did not ride in a FedEx box this time. He has been known to come back from Auburn in a FedEx box, and he's still not happy about that. But Boris is excited about Big Cat Weekend, being a Big Cat himself, and so he said he was personally involved in getting a couple of recruits. So let's talk about them a little bit. So first up, Kareem Palmer. Now, this is not the biggest of the recruits, but this was the first one we really kind of heard about a couple of days ago. So what do we know about him?
Kareem Palmer is a 6'2", 250-pound linebacker. He's a 3-star who picked Auburn over Ole Miss.
And that's not too bad. You know, there was a time when you said you picked over Ole Miss, you'd be like, oh. But now it's like, oh, okay, you know, because they're still recruiting pretty well. We'll see. In fact, let me just pause this to say, I'm one of the storylines, one of the subplots that I'll be watching in SEC football over the next 4 or 5 years. And there's always interesting subplots that run multiple seasons on the television drama that is the SEC football. One of the subplots I'm going to be watching is how will Ole Miss make out over the next 5 years? Will they continue along where they are now? Will they actually even go higher, maybe make it to the national championship or something? Or have they now peaked, and what they did at the end of last season was their highest point ever in 50 years, and now they're going to start – are they going to revert to the mean, I guess is what I'm –
in the long term, yes. In the short term, they have figured out a way to collectively raise and spend money cooperatively to benefit the football program, and it's working for them. But I also think, I mean, let's be clear, they recruited a guy to be their backup quarterback from Division II who turned out to be awesome and win multiple playoff games for them. You don't predict that kind of thing. You know, that's fluky. So,
well, and they've got a backup quarterback now that could be awesome too. So we'll see what happens there.
Truth.
And I'm still not happy about
that. So the second player that Auburn got was the big news. I mean, Palmer was a good player. He's from Lyons, Georgia. But the second player was Leighton Von Brandt, an offensive tackle out of Delaware, who's 6'6", 285. And, you know, an absolute stud, 4 to 5 star offensive tackle, one of the top 5 offensive linemen in the whole country, committed to Auburn. A guy from the North committed to Auburn over Notre Dame and Penn State and other places.
Think about that. We just got an offensive tackle who could be like the centerpiece, the anchor of our offensive line for seasons to come. And he chose Auburn over Notre Dame, Florida, and Penn State is what I had.
Huge.
That is absolutely spectacular. And you might say, well, he's just a 4-star. Bear in mind, most of the good offensive linemen that come out of high school are 3 stars at best, because offensive linemen aren't like quarterbacks or receivers where they can just plug right in and their body is ready. Offensive linemen coming out of high school are usually high school offensive linemen, right? It takes them a while to become 4- and 5-star players. So when we get offensive linemen that are good ones, they're usually 3 stars. That's what we kind of aim for. This is a 4-star coming out of high school. He's like, I read he's the highest rated commit from his region ever since they've done rankings.
Yes, he's the highest rated player out of Delaware in a very, very, very long time. And he's one of our highest rated offensive line recruits ever.
Yeah.
I think this is a huge pickup for Auburn, because we've talked for a long time in this podcast about the need for quality offensive linemen and how hard it is to get quality tackles. You should think about it in the same way how hard it is to get like a great quarterback or a great defensive end. It's in the same bucket as those things. And a really high-end tackle could be the centerpiece for this whole recruiting class. Like, he could be it. He could be the guy. And you're right. He could be a foundational piece for years to come on the offensive line for a team built around lines of scrimmage. It could be a real difference maker for Auburn.
And you look at that picture there of him towering over Golesh, but I just keep thinking, man, I'm excited about Golesh. I may be crazy, and 2 or 3 years from now, I may be eating my words, eating my hat, and that's fine. I mean, I'm used to it. Unlike you, I thought Freeze might work out, and boy, was I wrong about that. But on the other hand, I always say I did say Chizik was a good idea, and at least for a couple of years there, I was a genius. But I look at Golesh, man. I've said this over and over. He strikes me like an NFL coach. And I think he's going to be able to recruit. I think we've only scratched the surface of the recruiting that he and this staff are going to be able to accomplish for us. I think they're going to bring in big-time players, and not, the way Freeze did it was kind of flash in the pan and throw money at them. And I love Zach Blackerby's phrase, the suck tax, that you have to pay more because you haven't played well the last few years and whatever. Yeah. I think we just need to go out there and win a couple of games we're not supposed to. Finish 8-4, something like that, right? Just get back in the winning side, get to a decent bowl game, go and win a bowl game. We haven't won a bowl game since the 2018 season. And that wasn't even a particularly good Auburn team. They just caught a historically bad Purdue that couldn't defend our receivers. So I just feel like just win a few games you're not supposed to, and the sky's the limit. I think we're really on the cusp of something here. I really do. I'm so confident that we're on the cusp of something. I've already committed to co-authoring a book with you about the 2027 season. And I went and secured my lodging for the Notre Dame game in 2027 today. So I've committed as well. I'm probably I'm a half a star, but I've committed, John. I may need to be committed when it's all over, but I've committed.
Van Allen Plexico has committed.
Yep, there it is. All right, so
Auburn's overall class is number 19 or number 20, depending on where you look in the recruiting rankings. That's proof.
8th in the SEC, which, that's in the top half. Who would have ever, it wasn't that long ago that 8th would be almost at the bottom. And now being 8th in recruiting the SEC means you're in the upper half.
That's crazy.
This is a world where to be in the top 5 in the SEC in recruiting, you pretty much have to be in the top 7 in the country. So, yeah. I did find a little bit about the Baylor game being in Atlanta. And, we've talked a lot about whether we like it being there or not. And there's some good things that the coaches and the athletic directors saw. And there's some bad things, obviously, that the fans and the business owners in Auburn have seen. But I just thought here were some actual statistics, some actual facts on it. In a first for college football, Aflac, the duck that hangs out with Nick Saban and Deion Sanders. You probably have heard of them. Oh, God.
I've seen a couple of commercials.
What this tells me is that when we're watching the Auburn-Baylor game, you're going to see a lot of freaking Aflac commercials, John. A lot of that duck.
Just be like every other game.
Yeah, it's true. Where's Dr. Pepper? It's Aflac and Dr. Pepper keep the college football cash register spinning. Aflac will provide opportunities for Auburn players to promote the game and earn money through NIL channels. In short, Auburn is trading the revenue of a home Saturday on the Plains, which now helps pay players too, with revenue sharing for more direct funding to its roster. Aflac will provide $4 million up front and another $4 million if Auburn sells out its ticket allotment. Well, I think that'll probably happen.
Yep.
That money can go directly to the Tigers roster through NIL and help to offset a revenue sharing cap. So does that mean that money from this game is outside of the NIL salary cap?
Yes.
That's what it sounds like. How does that work?
We don't want to go there.
Yeah, well.
The only thing more interesting than some of these other topics is if we get into the mechanics of the NIL cap and nobody cares.
Is how it works. We get the money, we get the players. We get the money, we get the players. Thank you, Boris, for breaking that down for us. All right. Well, I don't know that's going to make me feel any better when I have a hard time watching the game because I'm in the middle of doing a panel at DragonCon, but that would have been the case wherever they played it. If there's like super cheap tickets, I might try to sneak over, but I don't think there's going to be super cheap tickets. Those tickets in that stadium are expensive. So I'll probably be missing this one in both on. It'll probably be one of those I'm watching it on my phone during a panel in my lap. And they're wondering why I'm looking in my lap the entire panel. All right. We are up to the off-season depth chart review series, part 2. Last week, John covered quarterbacks for us. Where are we now?
We're headed towards running backs. Right. And as we've discussed before, we're doing this because we all need to know who's on this roster. There's been too much turnover. We kind of lost track about who's who. So I want to talk about who we lost, who's new, who we retained, and then what the depth chart will look like. So this week we're going to do running backs. I'm going to talk a little bit about the running back depth chart. Van, can you see this?
I'm pushing the button. Oh, got to remove Byram there. There we go.
All right. We lost 2 players from last season's roster. Darrell Robinson went to Colorado State and Damari Alston went to Tulsa. We kept 3 running backs, 3 good running backs on the roster. Jeremiah Cobb, Omar Mabson, and Alvin Henderson. Cobb will be a senior this year. Mab's going to be a sophomore because he was in a number of games, and Alvin Henderson will be a redshirt freshman. And then we brought in 3 running backs to supplement those 3. Tay Meadows was the starter at Troy. He's also a senior. He rushed for 695 yards and 6 touchdowns. Bryson Washington will be a junior from Baylor. He had rushed for 788 yards and 6 touchdowns. And Dekai Davenport from South Florida will also be a junior. He rushed for 612 yards and 7 touchdowns. And so I think this gives Auburn a great deal of depth and some variety of kind of sizes and shapes and skill levels, but also it spreads out kind of the ages too. So you have Meadows and Cobb are seniors. You got 2 juniors with Washington and Davenport. You got Mabson as a sophomore, and then Henderson as a redshirt freshman. So you have some real spread among those players. I think Cobb is the clear number 1 guy after spring. Washington did not come out of spring as number 2, but I do think by the time we get to the start of the Baylor game, he will be the second string running back. I think Mabson is really the third every down running back, but I think Davenport is going to play. He's a much bigger, stronger running back than these other guys. I think he's going to be good in short yardage, good in goal line, that kind of stuff. So he's going to have some uses there. And Mabson, for a young player, he's good at pass protection, and he's a productive player. So I definitely think he's going to get some carries too. So because we're going to run the ball so much with this offense and have an offense that moves so fast, I think they're going to split the carries and not overwhelm any one running back. But we have a lot of depth of talent. So here's the question for you, Van.
Mm-hmm.
How does this running back depth compare to Auburn's historical seasons of excellent running back depth? Who would you compare this group to?
Well, the only thing about it is that over half of them really we haven't seen play for Auburn. I would say the best potential running back room we ever had, was 2003 when we had Cadillac Williams, who we knew was great. He played the second half of 2001 and got hurt. He played the first half of 2002 and got hurt. But we knew he was healthy. He was great. We had Ronnie Brown, who had exploded the second half of 2002 after Cadillac got hurt, and he was great. We brought in Brandon Jacobs, who was just a monster, and we thought he might be better than either one of them, at least, like as a power back. And then we had Trey Smith, the little surfboard snowboarder kid, right? That had done so well in the 2002 Iron Bowl.
Brandon Jacobs?
Trey Smith.
No, but before that, did you mean Brandon Jacobs or Brandon?
Brandon Jacobs.
Yeah. You said the other guy that was the fullback.
Johnson?
You said Brandon Johnson, whatever. Brandon Jacobs.
Brandon Johnson was the fullback.
Yeah.
And Brandon Jacobs was the running back. Okay. So, yeah, we had all of them. And that running back group right there on paper would have been, there was a time we had Bo Jackson, Brent Fullwood, and then Tim Jesse and Collis Campbell and Kyle Collins and a few others. That was not a bad
1979.
James Brooks, Joe Cribbs, William Andrews for sure. Peoples was in there somewhere. So we've had great running back groups over the years. But this is the most. I think this is the most at one time, and you don't know which 2 or 3 are going to really emerge. I think that's the difference. That we haven't seen this group play yet together, and so we don't know, because they're not all going to be huge. There's going to be at least one that's completely forgotten, doesn't even play at all. And there's going to be one that gets more carries than anybody, probably Cobb. It's in the middle there. How's that middle going to shake out? That's what we don't know.
Agree. As I've said before, I'm going to sleep better at night because we have such good running back depth.
Oh,
yes. What you talked earlier about one play in the Iron Bowl, we had to play a walk-on running back about 15 plays in the Iron Bowl. We didn't. Any one of these guys would have made more of a difference in that game. And we didn't have them. This year, we've got them. We're not going to be in a game late in the year, and we have one healthy running back on the roster. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. And And that's the thing, is any one of these could break out and have a huge year, and any one of these could end up on the bench and never play a down.
That's right.
And we don't know. And I mean, probably at least two of them will be gone after this season. Either if they're seen, like Cobb will be gone, and there was one other you had on there that
Meadows is a senior too.
Yeah. So at least two of them will be gone after this year. I mean, I have high hopes for Alvin Henderson. I'm kind of more partial to the ones that came to Auburn from the beginning, right? So Mabson and Henderson, I want to do well. But if Davenport and if the Baylor guy and the South Florida guy, if they want to have breakout years, have at it. Amen. That's great. And he did say the bodily function that we're going to run the ball out of.
That's right.
So let's go. Let's do it.
Amen. Let's do it. I mean, again, I feel good about this group. I think they can be productive. I think we have different styles. One of the things you talked about before is don't want to have 5 of the same guy.
Yes. Yeah. And they are a little diverse. All right. Here's my question for you. Let's just say that Cobb has the most yards because he seems to be it's his position to lose. Who is the second leading rusher for Auburn? Well, it might be Byron Brown. All right, so Cobb.
We're taking Byron Brown off.
Taking Cobb off because he's probably a done deal. Taking Brown off because he's the quarterback. What running back has the second most yards after Jeremiah Cobb? Unless you think somebody's going to have more than Cobb.
No, I think it's Cobb. I think the second most is going to be Washington. I think he's a really good player, and I think when he gets fully into game shape in the fall and we're practicing before games, I think he has the ability to be a real home run hitter and a tough inside runner too. I think he's going to make some big plays in this offense.
Is that the South Florida guy?
No, I'm talking about the Baylor guy, Byron.
Oh, the Baylor. Okay. I haven't memorized their names yet. I just know there's a Baylor guy, a South Florida guy, and who's the third guy from?
Troy.
Yeah. Troy's kind of become our AA, our AA farm team, basketball and football. They send us dudes.
They do.
Good on Troy. Just a quirk of historical fate that Troy's not Auburn and Auburn's not Troy, honestly.
Truth.
Yeah. Central Alabama universities that play football, and one just happens to be way bigger, I guess. So
I wanted to take 1 second to give you the different heights and weights of everybody so we could just do the.
Oh, let's do it.
Give me 1 second. Punter, quarterback, running back. Okay. Here we go.
All right.
Tay Meadows is 5'10", 200. Alvin Henderson is 5'9", 202. Jeremiah Cobb's 5'11", 200. Davenport is 6 foot, 218. Mabson is 5'9", 213. Bryson Washington
He's smaller but heavier, yeah.
Bryson Washington is 6 foot, 216. So
they're all very similar.
Yeah, but the body types, I mean, it does sound like that, but I think if you wind them up and looked at him, you wouldn't say that. Like, I think Cobb is a
well, let me just say, John, I'm 5'10", about 185 on a good day, but I don't think I could get many yards against SEC defense.
No,
probably.
I don't want you to try. It could be bad.
Badly hurt. Morris would call good coach plays for me, and I would just mess them up. All right. So anything else? Yeah, I had a note. Oh, well, yeah, I think you said Auburn has 4 running backs that started games for teams last year and others that contributed. That's pretty remarkable that we have 4 different running backs that started games for different teams.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, the best 1 or 2 backs on the team might not be any of those four. You know,
It's
we
true.
don't know. I mean, I honestly think Mabson has a lot of potential. He looked
could
really
be-
good.
He could be a star. Like Mabson could be a guy that comes in and takes over, and all these other guys are on the bench watching him carry the ball.
It's absolutely could happen. Yeah.
I mean, again, remember, he's a guy who, moved his classification forward. He's supposed to just be a freshman in college.
People his age were having prom,
That's it.
and he's like a grizzled veteran in the SEC. That's crazy. Yeah, he's the same age as my daughter, my younger daughter.
He's
That's
supposed
crazy.
he's just supposed to be entering campus for the first time right now.
Man, I didn't know what I was doing entering campus first time. I can't imagine these people like a year younger. Good Lord. All right. Any other football before we move into our final segments here? We have a few segments yet to go.
No, that's plenty of football for today. We got more to come.
Yeah, we do. So we're finally getting another Formula One race coming up. Canada is next weekend. It seems like it's been as long since the last one as it was waiting for that one, which is crazy. In the Indy 500 is Sunday, and they had a big crash. Alexander Rossi and Pato O'Ward got into it. Romain Grosjean came in at the end, and so I think Rossi's in the hospital. I'm so disappointed because I'm a big Rossi fan. He's my favorite Indy driver, and he qualified Saturday second. He was going to start in the middle of the front row, and he destroyed that car and is in the hospital, may not even be able to drive in the race. So it just he's always been snake bit. He's always had terrible bad luck. He won his first Indy 500 race he was ever in, and then ever since then he's had nothing but bad luck. So it just really sucks for him because I like him. All right, so I guess let me see. I had something. Oh, so we were talking about Baylor, and I haven't opened. I told you I was forgetting something. I was forgetting the Patreon. So whilst I open the Patreon page, let us revisit the past and remember what Baylor Hate Week 2025 was all about.
It's Baylor Hate Week 2025.
You are f***ing mine.
Auburn.
Run! You're mine! Don't that hurt? I bet it don't hurt as bad as this.
Daddy, be careful.
They're a Big 12 team.
Sir, you should consider that. I don't want to consider it. And you go get in the truck. Your Friday night's over.
Walker White.
Teddy,
Get in the truck.
call me tomorrow.
No, don't you dare call her tomorrow. Because of you,
Baylor.
I've got lawyers up my so far they can see out of my mouth. Not to mention the sheriff.
And the SEC and the NCAA.
You just put a giant bullseye on this place. You're the one with the problem, bud. I'm not the one with the problem. See, the
SEC.
has a satellite above this field now, just waiting to see what kind of stupid you pull next. And then you coming out here trying to shake me down has zero effect on the multi-billion-dollar, multinational
SEC teams.
that own and run this. They don't care. See, this is why we don't want you here. You know, I got a boss too, and he lost millions on.
Our conference TV deal.
You want the back? Oh, yeah, they will. They'll care so much that the 1st Cavalry Division of the United States Army will come out here and start playing war games inside a month. You don't know who you're f***ing with.
Baylor.
So why don't you just take your licks like a
Mountain West team.
matter of fact, I got a good idea. How's this? How about you
Join a real conference.
how about that?
How about that? Yeah, I'd forgotten that
The extended landman cut from the 2025 Baylor Hate Week.
that was the extended cut, right? There is a shorter theatrical cut, but that was the extended edition with all the bonus scenes. including with the Mexican kidnapper guy that he talked about the satellites and the SEC thing. Yeah. So yeah, I'd forgotten that a year ago was when I was in my first, having just discovered Landman for myself and in love with it. And yeah, it was fun.
All right. It's hate week. It's not hate month. So let's rein it in a little bit next time.
Well, like I said, that was the director's cut special edition. So
we're always selling that one with the director's cut DVD. So
yeah, it comes on the Blu-ray. I still think, the best one ever was UMass. And I wanted to see if I still, let's see if this like a palate cleanser because this is short.
It's UMass Hate Week 2023.
Yeah, see, there you go. You get in,
boom.
You get out.
It's the peak of the art form right there.
There we go. I think that's the greatest one ever. So I'll strive to keep them about 15 seconds long in the future instead of an hour and whatever that other one was. All right. We got to thank the patrons. I want to point out we are presented to you ad-free. If you're watching on YouTube, you don't have the little ad things that pop up. We don't even ask you to subscribe. You know what, YouTube audience? If you don't want to subscribe, I don't give a crap. Don't subscribe. Watch the show if you feel like it. Where else are you going to get advice like that on YouTube, John? Where else are you going to get advice like that?
I'd rather they did subscribe, but it's not a mandate or anything.
No,
don't. We'll be okay.
We'll be fine. Do what you feel like. All right, you make the call now. But the reason that we're able to do that is, but this is just real talk, all right? But the reason we're able to do that is because of Patreon. We have great supporters, the AU Wishbone family on Patreon. And we thank them by providing a show that is marginally entertaining, I think, sometimes, and informative. It's probably the only Auburn podcast that has Boris the Tiger popping in from time to time. That's a big, big draw. And we have things like Guess the Game coming up in just a moment. But first, we thank our patrons for doing what they do. And so here we go. Are you ready? We have to thank the great title sponsor of Worst Coach. And that is the great Samuel Salvatore, who always leads off for us. We have Logan Chilton, who helpfully reminds us, what do we sacrifice to be an Auburn fan?
So what do I sacrifice? Everything.
There it is. We have Ben Spooner, who reminds us that to not help the show would be
blasphemy.
That's right. Carl Von Drunker, Chris and Clinton Stewart. Is it Baylor Hate Week yet? Oh, my friend, it just was. And it's going to be again soon. Earl Ricks, Phil Amthor now giving Van and John a break, and our audience too, I would add, from the sound clip. Since the dismal years are over, I hope. You notice I'm keeping my powder dry on that. He mentions it there, and so I like to give a little taste. But I'm not giving the full no until the situation calls for it. All right. Richard Stevens. We do love us some Richard Stevens. Awesome. Steve Trawick, Ann Pridgeon, Shane Bailey, Susan Trawick, Willie Carden. Win in Norman, Oklahoma, which we should have done last year, but we were robbed. Gary Grant, a.k.a. AU Fan at KSC, 2023 AU Wishbone NCAA Men's Tournament Challenge Champion. William Morgan, Bradley Blackman, Eric Morgan, Michael Kirshner, War Eagle from South Arkansas. You know, you don't hear about South Arkansas. You hear Northwest Arkansas a lot, but good to hear from South Arkansas there. David WDE Salmons Esquire, G Money, Rich Reimer, Steve Harlan, Wes Atkinson, Dan Thompson. A few more patrons, then back to the authorities and Boris. Catherine England, Will Summerford, no one fights like Gaston. War Eagle always, amen to that. Jacob and Robin Fleming, Mickey B, Winston Body, washed up fantasy F1 team principal Lane. Oh, I'm just waiting for the next F1 race so I can sink even lower in the standings. Brandon Smith may drop out of the top 10 entirely. Daniel Odom, 2008-2009 Taliban Wrangler World Champion. H-Town Danny, WDE Richie, Chris Hilton, Bob WDE Salmons, Auburn University Debate Team 74-75, and current Sleazy Shyster. Algo Rhythm and Blues, Charles Mooney, Rusty Owens, goodbye you. Luther and Kelly Ottaway. On to the second column. I started carrying a knife after an attempted mugging a few years ago. Now my mugging attempts have been a lot more successful. Wow.
Then so be it.
Yeah. Todd Robinson, a.k.a. Undisputed 2012 Doubles Badminton Intramural Champion. Chad McDowell, Auburn Football's Elvis, Wade Ward, Reynolds Wolf, Philip Martin, Jeff Hunter, David G. is the health and safety rep for
Jones Barbecue and Foot Massage.
There is no business that we promote more for free on this show than that one. And I don't know why that is, but then
so be it.
That's just how it is. So Alex and Michael in Singapore. Hey guys, Mark Margolis, Ashley Lamar, Timothy Russell Milling, Randall Walker, David Simpson, Josh Teal, Tony Perry, Rob Morgan, Patrick Williams says the AU Wishbone is simply,
whether you like it or not, learn to love it because it's the best thing going today.
Woo! Construction Tiger, Papa Todd, Cato, the SEC Pick'em champion, Stephen Houston, Kevin Mahan, Blake Heron, Sarah Hines, Sasquatch, 7-time North America Hide Seat champion last year's bracket winner, Tim Pittman, Boris the Tiger, right here in studio tonight. What is a stormtrooper's favorite store? The one next to Target. Wow.
Wait.
Yep.
Why do bees have sticky hair?
Why is that?
Because they use a honeycomb.
Oh! That's right in with the kind of jokes that we get on here.
That's why I told them.
Yep. I'm gonna say stormtroopers and Sleestack on the old Land of the Lost. You remember those guys, the lizard guys?
They scared me.
Yeah, they're scary, but they couldn't shoot worth a flip. They were like stormtroopers. They were like lizard stormtroopers. I thought they're gonna take the white helmet off the stormtrooper. It's gonna be a Sleestack in there, man.
I get it. They still scared me.
Beware of Sleestack. You know who scared me back then? Anything David Ansara played. He was the blue genie on I Dream of Jeannie. He was one of the Klingons on Star Trek. In real life, married to Barbara Eden, though. Moving on. Ooh, David D. Auburn Blue, Dr. Crockham. Bill Weathers, Eternal Glory. Walt is cautiously optimistic about all major sports again. I hear you. Antoine Morris, ABB, Wiggaber, the 2005 Auburn University Intramural Horseshoes champion. Tyler Ward, Mark Squire, cue the anthem, boys. You know who's number one. There it is. Auburn, number one. Oop, wrong button. There we go. Alex Wynn. Kenneth Brent Rain says the barbecue.
You have failed me for the last time.
AKA Armnet for life. John Stubbs, Clay Henson, Justin Bean, James Taylor, Ruth, and Darren Sutherland. And finally, Ben Amos, Spanky. AU Wishbone is my new happy place because
Larry Bird's not walking through that door, fans. Kevin McHale's not walking through that door, and Robert Parrish is not walking through that door.
but we got some darn good, apparently good prospects that are walking through that door, and that's what I'm excited about. And football now, too. Chris Como, Darren Pyle, Theodore Gary, David Smiley, Trevor Johnson, college equestrian expert Auburn Elvis, AAU Falling Up, John Otsuki, Paul Banks, and MVP captivating Kathy Bright.
Your love of the halfling's leaf has clearly slowed your mind.
Ben Regas, Bobby Polite, Elizabeth Donald, I'll buy this for $1, Rich Hammett, Chris Braun, Alex Browns, the Slinko family, Daniel, Empire Strikes Back is superior to Star Wars. Witten, I wrote a whole column how that's not true, and then I have to say it every week. It's painful, Daniel. Jim McCrory, I am Tiger. Why do melons have weddings? They can't elope. Anita, apparently we have a new patron this week, John. Anita Ho. Anita Ho, John. What's so funny if I just point out Anita Ho? Is there something wrong with that? I value our patrons, John, and I'm not gonna go out here and deny Anita Ho. That would be wrong of me. I will proudly stand here on YouTube and on audio and say Anita Ho. There. You're welcome. CT Tiger.
Thank you, man.
Yes, you're welcome. Jim Myers, Trey Jackson, Howard Frantz, Peter Wang, Willie Moe, Zach Doran, Chris, and our one-time and anonymous donors. I thought of something halfway through, and for once in my miserable life, I didn't stop the proceedings to talk about it in the middle of the patrons. And sure enough, now I've forgotten. But you know what? I do think of this, though. I spent some time this morning bickering with Alabama fans on social media. That's always a healthy way to spend your time. That's one of those things that when you're like 100 years old and you're on your deathbed and you look back and say, did I use all of my time that was given to me wisely? And you think about that hour that you argue with Bama fans and you're like, I could have been doing anything else. And here's what I have to say about him.
You're an idiot, and there's probably something wrong with your character as well. You're not just misguided, but you're probably sort of evil, or at least so ignorant that you are effectively evil.
That's the best description of Bama fans I've ever heard.
Amen.
By the way, that's H.W. Brands talking about something else, obviously, but it applies here. We just went and saw him again. He comes to St. Louis all the time now for some reason, but he was just here talking about his new book called American Patriarch about George Washington, and I've got it on Audible. I've been listening to it. It's really good. So Brands is really good at writing like those, like 400-page, not superficial, but not like, it's not like the Robert Caro, The Years of Lyndon Johnson, volume 75, it's just a nice, good life of, and he's really tells great stories too. If you ever get a chance to see H.W. Brands just speak to like an audience, like a library or civic center or whatever, he's really good. He's very entertaining. So
I'll keep mine out.
Yeah, he's so good. You can go on YouTube and see him talk. He talks a lot at the Ford Presidential Library. They have a thing up there every year, like politics and media and stuff, and he goes and talks, and he has a lot of fans. All right, so that was Patreon. I wanted to make sure we thank our patrons. Let's see. What have we not done yet? I guess we have a Guess the Game, don't we? Let's go ahead and fire that up.
Hello, Van, John, the rest of the AU Wishbone family. This is Jared Ulrich, the Yard Sale Artist, here with Guess the Game number 170. Guess the Game 170 is sent in by our beloved Bob Salmons, and he did some evil stuff once again. I took pity on you, made the clip just a little longer, so now Bob's going to get mad at me. But hey, let's have some fun and give it a listen.
On the sidelines with the third down and 5. 6 of 6 on this opening drive. And this is a huge play, Andrew. They do not want a field goal. They need a touchdown. The pitch. He's not going to get the first down. There's the Auburn defense. Number 54 on the tackle. A little bit about their inside linebacker rotation. And all three of them can run and move. Nice play moving from inside out by inside linebacker against the option.
Okay, guys, I will see you in the hint file.
All right. The announcers were clearly like the D team from ESPN or whatever, right? So this was probably one of those 11:30 or noon games when we were not good in the last.
Either that or a bad bowl game.
Okay, it's possible. But in the last 10 years, that's not an ancient clip. The other team's quarterback started 6 for 6, but we stopped them on the drive where they played by number 54, one of the inside linebackers.
That's it. I think you've got all the – I was going to say there's a lot of information in that little clip, even despite the bleeps, and I think you have mined it for all it's worth. 54, didn't we have a linebacker on one of Tuberville's last few teams that was a 54 that was really good?
I think so. I was also thinking about the team. Was it like the? I'm almost thinking about like the 2019 team and the linebackers on it that made a bunch of plays.
Yeah, there was Zero.
Atkins.
No, before him. That guy that was so good came in. He was a 5-star. He was so fast. Number 0. He started out a different number and went to 0. I can't think of his name, but the announcers aren't going to help us because, like you said, they're.
I think we're going to have to go to the hint file because I don't think we're going to learn anything else about from that clip. I think we're going to have to go there.
I'm trying to think of the name of, if I can just, didn't we have a linebacker on the same team as like Stanley McClover that was 54? For some reason, I want to say Haven Fields or something, but I feel like there was another guy in there. Yeah. All right, well, let's go to the hint file and just see.
Let's get rid of those bleeps and give it another listen.
Kruzek on the sidelines with the third down and 5. Culpepper 6 of 6 on this opening drive. And this is a huge play, Andrew. They do not want a field goal. They need a touchdown. Culpepper, the pitch to Mack. He's not going to get the first down. There's the Auburn defense, and Haven Fields, number 54 on the tackle. We talked a little bit about their inside linebacker rotation. James Collier, Tavarius Pounds, and Haven Fields, and all three of them can run and move. Nice play moving from inside out by Haven Fields, inside linebacker against the option.
There we go. I will see you in the answer file.
Well, I got the hit. I got the player.
All right, so the other team's quarterback was, I think, Dante Culpepper. So Central Florida, 2002, when they came, I think. Or do you think it was later? Didn't we play them in Kansas State to start the season that year? No, it was a different year I'm thinking about.
No, well, we played South Florida and Kansas State in 2007 to start the season, and we lost to we beat Kansas State and lost to South Florida.
He played for Central Florida.
Yeah, wasn't that like 1998 or something?
Yeah,
I mean, like when we had Brother Oliver as our interim coach or something. I feel like we played South Florida and beat them in 98
or 99
after Terry. No, I think it was after Terry Bowden left after the Florida game, and we won like one more game the rest of the year under Brother Oliver, and it was like 10-7 over Central Florida because we shut down Dante Culpepper. I may be mixing years, but I mean, we didn't really get any.
Let's do it.
We didn't really get any extra information out of the hint file other than that it's Dante Culpepper and it's Haven Fields.
All right, so we'll say 98 USF. I mean UCF.
98 Florida in Auburn. Okay. Yeah, that's the only time I remember. I mean, we played them one other time, but I feel like 98 we played them and we beat them like 10-7 because we had a pass for a touchdown down the sideline that won the game late. I'm pretty sure, but I can't believe I got Haven Fields. That was crazy. I'm glad I said it. I wasn't sure.
All right, Van, John, if you guys figured out that this is a 1998 football game where we played UCF, University of Central Florida, then you would be correct. I want to thank Bob Sammons for sending that in. If you'd like to be like Bob, you can send in your play suggestions for Guess the Game. I am at Yard Sale Artist, X, Facebook, Instagram. It's all at Yard Sale Artist, or you can email me directly at Jared, that's Jarrod, at theyardsaleartist.com. Until next time, Van, John, Wrinkle.
We got it. Chalk it up. Ding, 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 ding.
That's a W.
John, you know what?
So thank you, Jared and Bob. Oh, that was a really good one. That was tough.
That was really good. You know what I always say? What is best in life?
Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of your women.
And to win Guess the Game. That is what is best in life, John, to win Guess the Game.
We're not bad at it.
Yeah.
If you're a listener out there and you got it before we did in that clip, I want to hear from you.
Good on you. Good on you. You know, John, I think it's only a matter of months until I get to play this clip again with real earnest passion.
I want you to put the word out there that we back up. Understand me?
Because
we back up.
Because
we sail into history.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's right.
Not long.
That's right.
Yeah, that was a fun Guess the Game. I can't believe we got it. When I first heard those announcers, I'm like, oh, this isn't going anywhere good. But son of a gun. All right. I think we don't have a worst coaches this week. So we're gonna go and talk. We're gonna hear a couple of words from our high school graduates.
Thank you. Order. Questions to the Prime Minister.
It's time for listener questions. Dun, 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 on the AU Wishbone podcast.
There she is.
There they are.
That's it. All right. What do we got in the old mailbag?
All right. We got a couple. Our first is a follow-up email from our softball correspondent, Cato, who says, "Hey, fellas, this may be better for around the SEC, but wanted to add on to what I said last week about how out of this world SEC softball has been this year. Alabama, LSU, Arkansas, Texas, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, Oklahoma, and Mississippi State all hosted and won their regionals, with Texas A&M being the lone team to host and not advance. 9 of the final 16 teams are from the SEC, which ties the NCAA record. Of the 8 super regional host sites, 6 of them were SEC teams. Given the way the bracket is set up, an SEC team is guaranteed. The SEC is guaranteed to send at least 3 teams to the Women's College World Series. And it wouldn't surprise me at all to see the SEC get 5 of the 8 spots. The Malvos clearly need to have a bounce back next year, but just being realistic, no coach in their second year was going to succeed going against this absolute buzzsaw. Thanks, Cato, the AU Wishbone softball correspondent, and he included a visual of the super regionals, and he said, P.S., visual graphics so it just really sinks in. This is what Greg Sankey sees in his head each night as he falls asleep. And the softball super regionals are Alabama versus LSU, Texas versus Arizona State, Oklahoma versus Mississippi State, Nebraska versus Oklahoma State, Arkansas versus Duke, Florida versus Texas Tech, Tennessee versus Georgia, and UCLA versus Central Florida.
Wow.
That's some SEC domination right there.
That is right there. And they don't want to hear it.
They
don't
not
believe it, but it's true.
All right. And then our last email is from frequent emailer Bill Miner, and the subject line is hardest Auburn names to pronounce. He says, "Hey guys, I just went to an event at my kid's school and thought it was funny hearing first graders trying to pronounce Polish names. I then tried to think of harder Auburn names to pronounce over the years, at least at first. The only ones I could come up with were Mamadou Njai and Zvan's favorite JJ Pegues. Can you recall any others that were more difficult?"
Pegues. I made a point when we got Devin Aroma-Shadu and Ben Obomanu. Those two are intimidating names to encounter together for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made a point, knowing they were supposed to be really good recruits back in they came in they came in 2002. Yeah. Their first year was 2002. And I made a point of remembering how to pronounce those names. Aroma-Shadu and Obomanu. Ace and Deuce, some of us called them. So yeah, those two stand out. We've had others over the years, but
I was going to say our new basketball recruit's going to be up there.
Yes.
Montas Rubistavish. I blew it.
You keep leaving off the us at the end, John. Bring it back to us.
Rubistavish.
I think it's got more syllables in that. I think you're leaving one out.
I'm scrolling back up to my pronunciation guide here. Montas Rubstavicius.
There we go.
Rubstavicius.
Sidvicious. The praying mantis. I think we had a guy named Valavicius on Sonny's first team. I think that popped up in the research for the basketball book. We had I can't think of his first name off the top of my head, but his name was Valavicius. So that's that Lithuanian basketball thing, right? They've always that country has a proud basketball tradition, is what I'm trying to say, right? Mm-hmm. They're good in the Olympics, and they send players to the European leagues, and they send players to the U.S. So, all right, let's see. What do we have? Anything going on around the SEC this week?
No, other than we're winding down all the spring sports. I mean, they're all getting ready to have their championships, and then it's going to be over. And then there'll be nothing left till football.
Well, let's see. So, Formula One comes back next weekend. We got the Indianapolis. Oh, hey, there has been a change. In case other racing fans out there, real quick, this is going to be the first year in forever that the Indy 500, the Coca-Cola 600, and the Monaco Grand Prix are not all on the same day. They have moved the Monaco Grand Prix ahead a week. So this coming Sunday, the day before Memorial Day, traditionally, you'll have the Indy 500 in the middle of the day, in the afternoon, and Coca-Cola 600, the NASCAR race, in the evening. Monaco will be the following Sunday. So they're not all at the same time anymore, which is bad for viewers because it was a really nice day to watch some racing all day. But it's good for the drivers because they like to watch each other's races, and also some people like to do both or try to do both. Fernando Alonso a couple of years ago did try to do both, or he couldn't do one because he wanted to do the other. You know what I mean? So he dropped out of the Monaco race during the Formula One season just so he could drive in Indy. So, but anyway, and then as soon as that's over, the World Cup begins June 11th. Man, we are barreling toward the beginning of the World Cup, and that's going to run from June 11th through July 19. So we're going to have like over a month of amazing. Well, let's be fair, because they have it's kind of like what we're talking about the college football playoff. Because they're having so many different teams in the World Cup this year, they've expanded it, and it's going to be in 3 countries. The first round is bad. The first round is like looks like friendlies. But once we get to the second round, but the U.S. Opens play June 12th against Paraguay.
Okay.
So we'll see. Man, we get that.
Where's the Paraguay hate week?
Ah, yes. Yeah. Indeed. But we're in a World Cup group. I don't know if we haven't done a lot of World Cup talk. The U.S. is in the easiest World Cup group we have ever been in.
You better knock on wood when you say that.
Turkey, pretty good. Paraguay, and then Australia. And you might say, well, Turkey, Paraguay, Australia, they're okay. Yeah, but there's no Germany, there's no Brazil, there's no Italy from a few years ago. No Spain. This is the easiest group by far we have ever been in. So all we got to, this is what we usually do. We usually upset the big team, tie the mediocre team, and lose to the other team. That's how we do every year. 4 points. Every dang World Cup. We upset Portugal or Colombia. We tie Korea or Switzerland, and then we lose to like Romania or Poland or something, or Austria. So I want to come out. I want to beat Paraguay. I feel like we can get a win over Australia. If we beat Paraguay and Australia, I don't care what Turkey does. We're going to the second round. So that's the plan. That's the game plan. All right. Anything else we want to throw in before we're done?
No, I'm looking forward to the World Cup. It's exciting.
Looking forward to all of it. And then once that's over, we're heading down. It's the middle of July, and we're careening toward football season.
We're in the home stretch.
Oh, in the headlights. Absolutely. All right. Our time is up. We thank you for yours. War Eagle, John.
War Eagle, man.